Chris Paul has a huge role on this team. He's been the guy who has closed out a lot of the games for us. But in my mind, this is the year I need to step into that role and really help him shoulder that load. I'll be right there with him at the end of games, being the guy that he can always count on. Stephen A., my question is for you. Is Blake truly the key to the Clippers' success?
Yes, he is. Him in conjunction with DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan simply has to hit free throws. He can't be a liability that's so conspicuous that you have to bench him in the fourth quarter because he can give you nothing. I saw him on Sports Nation yesterday with Max and Marcellus. He did a good job. If he shot free throws as well as he talked, he'd be an all-star.
Yikes.
So hopefully he'll get it together. Listen, he can't hit free throws. I like DeAndre Jordan in every other way. He got to work on his post game, but really, he really needs to hit free throws. It's just that simple. Getting back to Blake, however, his numbers dipped to 18 and 10 from 20 and 10, 18 and 8 from 20 and 10 the previous year. Blake Griffin, to me, is a superstar talent. Blake Griffin has to work on elements of his game in terms of his post game, and he has to develop a more consistent outside shot so he's able to create space for Chris Paul to operate. Because if you can't score in the post and you can't hit jump shots, then you're just taking up space and you're in Chris Paul's way and you're limiting his room to operate, which is not good. So he says he's been working out all offseason. He's been listening to Doc Rivers. We appreciate that because we know what a great coach Doc Rivers is. And as good as Blake Griffin is, I think he'll be even better. I think he's box office. I think he's a big-time talent. Got to fix his attitude a little bit, but that's a subject for another day. But here's the deal. This is the big thing with Blake Griffin. He's got attitude because he's blaming everybody but himself for one impediment to his game that has been validated by anybody who knows anything about his game. The word around the league is that he's soft, that he's a dude that doesn't want confrontation. That is not Stephen A. Smith saying it. It is not Skip Bayless saying it. It is not Chris Broussard or Mark Stein or any of our reporters saying it. It is Blake Griffin's peers within the NBA. I'm going to repeat. Zach Randolph got ejected from their last from the last game of the playoffs when they won because he grabbed his private area and called Blake Griffin a bunch of stuff that I can't repeat over FCC airwaves. And as a result, referee Joey Crawford booted him out the game. People know from Miami to New York to LA itself to Utah to Memphis to Oklahoma City, the list goes on and on. The word out on him is that he is soft. I think he's a big-time talent. I'd want Blake Griffin on my team any day of the week. And despite his sensitive ways and his attitude, I happen to think that he's a really good guy. And I think that he's just somebody that cares. But he's got to get feisty because he's so talented that dudes are going to come at him with the one ingredient that they believe will work. And that is attacking his heart, getting up in his chest and trying to punk him. He's got to stand up to that challenge, which I believe he will because of Doc Rivers and because of exactly what Chris Paul said. Chris Paul is basically calling him out by saying, you're a big-time talent. We believe in you. We know what you can do, but we expect you to do it because your talent is too great to do otherwise. And Blake Griffin seems like he's going to respond. I believe he will, but please understand, they're calling him soft. His teammates know it. His coaches know it. His peers know it. He's got to answer that call next season. He had better do it because we will all be watching, especially me.
And by the way, Chauncey Billups, his ex-teammate, sat between us in Miami when First Take was on the road at the NBA Finals and basically called him soft. I don't remember the exact quote that he used.
Says the nice guy. Says the nice guy, and he's got to stand up to challenges. But he didn't call him soft.
Recently, Chris Paul said, next year we will go as Blake goes. Baloney. You will go next year, Chris, as you go on the floor and in the locker room, and especially as Doc Rivers goes on the bench and in the locker room. I'll say it again. The biggest offseason acquisition in the NBA during all the free agent period was Doc Rivers going from Boston to the Clippers. It could put the Clippers over the top. It's a huge move. Because I've told you, you basically agree. I think Doc, even beyond Popovich, is the best coach in the league, and the Clippers got him. God bless the Clippers. Now back to Blake Griffin. I'm sorry, overrated. Especially given all of his new national TV commercials, I think he's the most overrated player in all of sports because he does not have much offensive game outside being able to slam it. And we know he can jump out of the gym. He can jump over the hood of a car and dunk. Not over the roof, but over the hood. And Stephen A., yet Blake Griffin is not a shot blocker. He's not a dominating defender. He doesn't have enough shooting touch, enough range to be a big-time scorer. So don't give me we will go as he goes. This is nothing but an off-season campaign to bolster the confidence of a Blake Griffin who can be underconfident. I've sat here in this seat all through his career, the 2 years he spent at the University of Oklahoma, Blake Griffin, and I've said again and again, the book on Blake Griffin in college, in the Big 12 was, you smack him, to use your word, you punk him early in the game, he will shrink. He will close up. He'll back off. No, can't play that way. You don't have enough game. What is he, Stephen? 6'9" or 10? I mean, he's not 7'1" here.
6'10".
Yeah,
6'10".
okay, maybe. I'm not even sure he's 6'10", but he's not 7 feet
like
tall.
6'9.5".
Yeah, so he can do a lot of spectacular things. He is, to use your term, box office. But can he contribute to making you a champion? Not sure about that. That's all about Chris Paul.
You don't think that tandem is going to do it?
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. There's a couple of
sure.
things Skip said that I absolutely have to address.
Okay.
You're going a bit too far calling him the most overrated athlete. That's cruel.
How many TV commercials does he have? Every time I turn my TV on, he's got another.
I'm not. Hold on. Time out. I'm not thinking about the TV commercials because he's box office. If you're box office, you get commercials. That's the way it goes. Okay. I have commercials. Here's the point that I'm trying to make to you. Okay.
Are you overrated?
What I'm trying to say to you is that no, I'm not. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is this: this dude is a big-time talent. He's got something to learn in terms of his post game and improving his jump shot. But he's no scrub, Skip. This dude his athleticism is off the charts. His game has to improve, but his athleticism is off the chart. And I can't call somebody overrated that averages 20 and 10 or 18 and 8 last season. I can't do that to that man. What I can tell you, however, is that Chris Paul is absolutely 1,000% correct. Do you know why, Skip? Because Chris Paul is going to be Chris Paul. He's going to deliver, just like he delivered last year. But it wasn't enough because you need the big boy to step up and handle his business. It's not to sit there and say Chris Paul is going to step aside and defer to Blake Griffin. It's to say, look, I'm going to do what I do. But if you don't do what you're supposed to do, we're not going anywhere. That's all Chris Paul means by that. So it does mean that this season is riding with Blake Griffin. Because if Blake Griffin is that closing option in the fourth quarter that Chris Paul is, then guess what? It opens up the floodgates. But if he's not, then it leaves it all on the shoulders of Chris Paul, and it can't get done.
You don't think he can do it?
So he's right. Chris Paul is right.
Last thought.
Chris Paul is right.
Somewhere Zach Randolph
and
Chauncey Billups see the latest TV commercial featuring Blake Griffin Lob City dunking, and they shake their head and roll their eyes. I'm sorry.
Stephen A.
Blake's got to go after Zach.
Stephen A. We have established that you're a box office. That's what we have established during this debate.
Yes.
I mean,
well, I think that was established before this debate, Kerry. But I do appreciate.
My bad. All right, just
Thank you so much.